Premier League clubs are set to turn up the heat on the head of the PGMOL, Howard Webb. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Yesterday's video is going to centre around an article that's been buzzing around these past 24 hours or so in the Times that suggests that the head of the PGMOL is set to receive a grilling from several members of the Premier League, the clubs of the Premier League, in regards to the decline of refereeing standards. Clubs are reportedly not happy with the way that some decisions have gone against them this season, or maybe even so for other clubs as well. And it seems to be an ever-growing problem that obviously is taking hold of the Premier League and of the top tier of English football. And you don't just need me to constantly call it out each and every single week, as do a lot of other content creators and a lot of other YouTubers out there. But now we are seemingly getting the Premier League and the Premier League clubs to start grilling Howard Webb on this particular issue. We're going to be talking about this, we're going to be talking about the article, we're going to be talking about what this may mean and everything else in between. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things always and probably greatly appreciated. Get involved in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it in regards to this video down below. I'm sure it'll make for great and interesting reading. So please do use and abuse that comment section, people. And as always, thank you for your continued support to me and the channel. But without further ado, let's go on with the video. Let's talk Howard Webb and the grilling from Premier League teams that he is potentially set to receive going forward. Look, it's no surprise that the decline of referees is continuing to decline. We have seen our beautiful game. We have seen the top tier of English football be constantly tainted with poor refereeing decisions, even worse, VAR officiating and the usage of VAR. It's been a complete car crash for the most part. Yes, there have been some decent moments and there have been some good moments in which VAR and referees have been actually quite smart in their approach to certain decisions. But there's been a lot that haven't exactly reached that kind of bar or criteria. There have been a lot of decisions, and not just in the early stages of this season, but of course across the whole of last season and the season before, in which VAR's usage has been extremely poor. The refereeing decisions on the pitch have been just as poor, even though there is not really a credible excuse as to why the referees got it so wrong on the pitch. And not only that as well, but this man right here has gone on multiple talk shows with a certain Michael Owen and has given some of the weakest and most hypocritical excuses and reasoning for why referees and the officials behind VAR have reached the decisions that they have. And it seems that not only am I sick of it, not only are you sick of it, not only are other fans and other content creators and things like that and people like that are sick of it, but it now seems Premier League clubs are even more sick of it now that they are set to grill Howard Webb going forward. The report in the Times goes on to suggest that there is I think it's like a weekly or a fortnightly or something along them lines, Premier League shareholders meeting, which Howard Webb normally does attend. But this week he's not going to. Is that a matter of convenience and coincidence? I don't know. The article does go on to state that Howard Webb does not attend all of these meetings, so read into that what you will. But it is very interesting because over the past few weeks alone, we have certainly seen a poor standard of refereeing. We have seen a poor standard of usage of VAR. We have seen a poor standard of officiating in all areas. And it's becoming a joke. It's becoming a farce. The Premier League prides itself on being the best league in the world, and maybe on the pitch and quality-wise, and in terms of the calibre of players that we are able to attract and bring in, yes, there is an argument to have there, but the standard of refereeing is so poor and so in the mud and in the gutter that it's hard to really fully agree with that when not all areas of our game is up to code and up to standard. There's a reason why English referees aren't necessarily chosen anymore to officiate big European games, whether they are on a Champions League level or even an international level in terms of a European Championships or even a World Cup. You even saw this past summer in the European Championships that English referees were the ones to completely mess everything up. The officiating and the refereeing had actually been pretty decent by the large majority of referees and officials in that tournament. And then as soon as English officials got involved, that's when things started to get a bit controversial, and that's where people started making videos on strange decisions that were being made. Is it a coincidence? I think not. I think the level of training needs to be seriously looked at. I think this man right here needs to seriously be looked at. And I can fully understand why Premier League clubs are starting to turn up the heat on him. Because he needs to answer for this. It's alright him going on a show with Michael Owen, a guy who is not going to challenge him, a guy who is basically there as a puppet, because the show is scripted, the show is already premeditated in what he's going to say, the show is already premeditated in the questions he's going to ask. If he got real fans on that show, he'd be sweating. His bald head would be dripping forth with sweat under the grilling that real football fans could give this guy. He'll be tripping over his words more so than he normally does, even though it is a scripted show. And the answers he would give would be even more strange and more hypocritical than he has given in the past. It really does seem extremely strange to me that this guy would even go on a show like that, would even try and justify when, of course, he has failed to do so. I mean, take this past couple of weeks alone. He talks about the Declan Rice incident and how VAR doesn't normally get involved with second yellow cards, but yet we can clearly hear the VAR talking to the referee and clearly sort of swaying him in the way of, you've got no choice. You've got to give him a second yellow. It'd be interesting to see if the VAR also had a similar discussion with the Leandro Trossard incident that took place in the Arsenal versus Manchester City game. It would be interesting as well, because this one kind of gets swept under the radar a little bit, the some slightly controversial Morgan Gibbs-White second yellow in Nottingham Forest's game against Brighton. I personally think it is a second yellow, but initially the referee does seem to claim that Gibbs-White did get the ball first until the fourth official then steps in. Does the VAR also have interference in that? Who knows? But it's going to be very interesting if obviously the audio does get released for those things. Very intrigued by all of this, and I'm hoping that the Premier League continue this, because as much as the fans need to remain consistent, and as much as the fans need to, of course, forget about tribalism, forget about rivalries, we need to call this out, whether it's for our own team or against our rivals or anything else in between. We need to call this out whenever we see it. If it happened against Manchester United and Everton, I'd still be calling it out. If it happened against or for my own team or against my own team, I'd be calling it out. And I would like to think and hope that football fans across the UK would do the same. Across the world. Well, across the world really, but obviously given a Premier League context, I would hope that fans across the Premier League would do the same. Whether it's a decision that goes for their own team, I expect them to call it out. If it's one that goes against their team, obviously call it out. And if it's something that goes against a rival, call it out. Forget about tribalism, forget about rivalry. We're talking about the betterment, the improvement, and the overall integrity of the game that we know and love. The beautiful game that we all know and love in the top tier division of English football that is seemingly being ruined each and every single week by these officials that are in charge, that constantly spew out this absolute rubbish of, well, this incident is different to this incident, even though it looks exactly the same because this, and this. We don't we don't just nod our head like what Michael Owen does. We don't just go, yes, Mr. Webb, no, Mr. Webb, 3 bends full, Mr. Webb. No. We as fans see through these words and stupid phrases that you use. We see the inconsistencies that are constantly being produced week in, week out, game in, game out. And we call it out online, on social media, on videos like this, whatever it may be. We call it out. And it's about time. It's about time more people did that. And I'm talking about more people with more influence than us. I'm talking about Premier League clubs. I'm talking about Sky pundits, especially TNT pundits, whoever it may be, actually getting a backbone and standing up. Rather than the likes of Gary Neville basically claim, yes, I agree. I there's a worse Gary Neville impression, but basically, yes, I agree. I think the second yellow card should have a higher threshold. What are you doing? What are you saying that for? If it's a yellow card, it's a yellow card. Whether it's the first yellow card or the second yellow card. If it's a yellow card offence, it's a yellow card offence. Stop trying to create this grey area that referees and VAR and matchday officials and Howard Webb especially can exploit to constantly look after his mates, back his mates, and to constantly be like, well, it's nothing to do with us. It's obviously a footballer's issue. Yeah, it's the footballers that are the issue, not us. Stop using these grey areas that these lot are going to hide behind, that these lot are going to exploit to their advantage to protect themselves and their mates. It's an absolute joke, and I really do hope the Premier League clubs are going to be grilling them, because I imagine Arsenal are front of that queue. I would imagine Arsenal are front of that, even though the red cards that they've picked up in the past couple of weeks are warranted and are justified in my opinion. The consistency of the likes of, other players that have done that kind of thing. I think João Pedro, of course, against Arsenal. Dominic Szoboszlai for Liverpool against Nottingham Forest. Why weren't they booked in similar instances? So, yes, I fully hope the likes of Arsenal and whoever else is in this. Wolves got hit a lot last season that I talked a lot about. Liverpool did, of course. Arsenal got hit again last season. City maybe once or twice. Man United definitely did. Brighton did. I think Brentford maybe on one or two occasions. I think Spurs did on one occasion. Chelsea did. Everybody has got them. And, I'm not expecting 100% perfection in terms of getting every decision right. But when you have VAR as a safety net to cover for yourself on the pitch, and they are still arriving at the wrong decisions, and not even just the wrong decisions, but the most inconsistent of decisions, it just reeks that it's incompetence at the highest of levels. And Howard Webb has some serious questions to answer. Simple as that. But those are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of Howard Webb, the PGMOL, and the grilling that is potentially set to come from Premier League clubs up and down the table in the league? I'd love to know what you guys think and feel. Your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure will make for great, interesting reading. So please do leave them down below in the comment section. Use and abuse that section, people. I would love to hear what you have to say on this particular issue. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see you and speak to you all again soon in a video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you again very, very soon.